So here's the deal. The Grammy Awards were announced last night, the nominees for all the categories. And this is the first year the kids' music has just been condensed into one Best Children's Album category. I think everybody, in the business expected the kind of a usual lineup. Dan Zane's released an album this year. Ella Jenkins released an album, Trout Fishing in America. Brady Reimer, who I really thought when that album came out, Love Me for Who I Am, that would be instant Grammy nomination. He'd already gotten a nod. And I think, it's assumed that, you get in sort of like baseball managers. You're in the system, and it's an old boys network, or girls network. But you're kind of grandfathered into a process, and when you release an album, it's going to get consideration. What we saw last night, no disrespect, and Stefan wrote a great piece today, trying to toe the line between, not disrespecting the people that got nominated, because everybody works hard. Everybody puts everything they have into what they make. But the 5 albums that were nominated last night are not indicative of what is happening in kids' music and what's been happening in kids' music over the last, let's say, 6 to 7 years, maybe the last decade, but certainly for the last half decade, with just a creative expansion of what is considered kids' music and who is making kids' music from a diverse collection of people all over the globe. It didn't happen last night. And, I'm conflicted. I spent my entire adult life skirting mainstream music. Not intentionally necessarily, it's just what I was into. College radio changed my life as an 18-year-old. And so the Grammys offered me nothing for my entire adult life. For the last 18 years, I've barely paid attention. Because it was not indicative of the real creative music that was being made by people with a real passion for it. Not necessarily how many units they sold, but who was doing great work and pushing boundaries. I was at the Grammys last year, and I saw Arcade Fire, regardless of what you think of them, an indie band on an indie label, for whatever that means to you at this point, win best whatever it was, band, album, record. I can't tell the difference between any of the categories. But they won the final night's award, the big one. And that was pretty amazing. And then last night, Bon Iver and many other indie acts were nominated. And for some reason, the kids' music category seems to be getting worse, at least if this year is any indication. It is not indicative. It is not pushing boundaries. It is not looking at the who is even touring nationally or who is getting press nationally. It was crazy, and it made a lot of people upset. It made me upset. I barely could sleep, I don't have the tact that some do, I don't want to totally call bullshit on our albums that were nominated, but come on. Anybody, I get paid sometimes to write, and I feel bad about it because there's people that are producing real quality that are better than me, and I have no problem admitting that. And I'd like to think that even the people that got nominated would look at some of the people that didn't and be like, what the hell? How does Dan Zanes not get a Grammy nomination for Little Nut Tree? It blows my friggin' mind. And I didn't want the Old Boys Network. I didn't want names to get nominated. I wanted great albums. Pete Seeger won last year, and that's fine. His album wasn't the best. Nobody even listened to it. Nobody probably even bought it. It's a collection of like a textbook, like an encyclopedia to have in your house. It wasn't better than Justin Roberts' Jungle Gym, but he's Pete fucking Seeger. So it's like, all right, okay, you're going to lose to Pete Seeger. You're going to lose to Pete Seeger. And just be happy that you were part of the process. But this year, how can Recess Monkey or how can Brady Reimer or Lunch Money or anybody else that submitted their CD sit back and think, okay, well, I lost to... There's no Pete Seeger in this lineup that you can think, okay, well, all right, well, I lost to him, so no big deal. And I don't even think some of these bands that I'm mentioning even really care. Yeah, they submit it, they go through the process, but... Privately, I don't think. I think they probably feel the same way I did for the last 18 years about the whole Grammys. That it's not a stamp of approval of what they've done. I mean, one of the band's albums that were nominated last night that I truly had never heard of until last night, I found the website, and they had received a Preferred Choice Award from Creative Parent Magazine. Now, that is an award and a magazine that I had never heard of. Preferred Choice sounds like something a sticker I would see on a T-bone steak that I was going to buy, not something that I would see on a piece of music. But there you have it, another sticker scam that somebody paid $100 to get submitted for by Creative Parent Magazine, whatever the hell that is. Now, some people somewhere are saying, "What the hell is out with the kids?" But I'm not taking money from people to put stickers on their CDs. Anyway, so I figured I recorded this a couple times, and I recorded it yesterday, and I really liked the way it turned out. But I had said some things in there about who I thought was going to get nominated for a Grammy. Completely not knowing that last night was actually the Grammy nomination show and the announcement. So I figured I'd re-record it today with a couple bonus thoughts at the top about what I feel about what happened last night, and then actually give you what are, I think, the 11 best albums that were released this year. In an order that is a little bit different from what I submitted to Fids and Camely, and a little bit different than what I published in Time Out New York Kids Magazine. So here you go. I'm going to try to keep the commentary kind of slim on each of them since I've already been talking for 6 minutes. Papa Crow. We're going to do top 11 albums because my kids are 7 and 4, and that adds up to 11. So it seems like a good excuse to squeeze one more great album into this. Papa Crow's Things That Roar is a pretty remarkable album. You know, on a week where Bon Iver becomes this year's most celebrated indie artist. I don't think it's a coincidence that Papa Crow kind of exudes that same hushed, mysterious Midwestern charm. It's an acoustic album that really is gorgeous. I'm going to try to give you a favorite song from each album too to go a little bit deeper. But Peekaboo Waltz is an instant kids classic. This guy's name's Jeff Krebs. I think I'm saying that correctly. Goes by the name Papa Crow. Really, really wonderful stuff called Things That Roar. The next album I don't have the CD cover for. It's Caspar Baby Pants Sing Along. Another of Chris Ballou's, who's formerly of the Presidents of the United States of America. Another great minimalist, stripped down toddler album. Probably the best album of my bunch here for little kids. That's not to say 7, 8, 9-year-olds or 36-year-olds. Whoa, wait, I'm not 36 until next year. 35-year-olds can enjoy it because we all do. But really, the target market there is for like 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, the age of children who normally get shit upon from a musical selection standpoint. Chris Ballou, under his Caspar Baby Pants name, is definitely doing something to rectify that problem. And Sing Along is no different. Really, really nice work out of him. The next one up, Frances England's Mind of My Own. Frances, there she is. Has mastered on our first 2 albums kind of a lo-fi bedroom pop sound. On Mind of My Own, her 3rd album, she gets a little more robust, a little more muscular, with a full band treatment that really brings the songs to life. The title track is an independent kids anthem, as far as I'm concerned, and duet Place of My Own with the adult band Mates of State is sort of like a middle finger song from kids to all the crotchety old adults who tell them that they're not going to love that teddy bear, they're not going to care about that special blanket that they had as a kid, that they're going to grow up and be miserable fucks just like the adults in their life. I love that feeling, I love that emotion, and I love that song because you can stay young forever and hold on to the things that matter to you as a child, no matter how old you get. And that song really exemplifies that. Next up, what is next up? We have Guster for Yellow Gold. That is not a CD. That is large. It takes up the whole screen. That is a DVD-CD combo. Guster for Yellow Gold's Infinity Sock. The 4th in Morgan Taylor's ongoing series about his yellow guy from the sun. Is the first one to feature a start-to-finish story so that you can watch this thing in succession and have it make sense at the end. And it's really terrific. There's some really great songs. Gustafson leaves his home state of Minnesota for the first time, I believe. Travels to Wisconsin and visits a clothing store where everything is made out of cheese. I will let you discover what happens on your own. It's very funny. He also sticks his head up into a beehive and sees the band of bees, who are recurring characters, perform a Kiss tribute. It's Morgan Taylor's tribute to one of his favorite bands, Kiss. Again, great stuff from him. Illustrations are as good as ever. Songs are tighter and more melodic than ever, if that's even possible. So that's Gustafson Yellowgold's Infinity Sock. And then we have an album that was critically overlooked by the Grammys, but weren't they all? No, by Fids and Camley. The poll that polls like 28, 30 people that do what I do and also in the radio biz to find their favorite albums. This didn't make the top 10. It also didn't make an honorable mention, which kind of blows my mind. Kelly's third album is a little bit of a departure for him as well, where his first two were very succinct, very tight, witty albums. This is still witty. Billy is a witty man, and I don't think he could make one that's not funny. But this Family Garden album is a little rougher around the edges. It's a little more relaxed and casual. It's sloppy at times, intentionally, I think. And it's very, very funny. Has a patriotic song. I'm not really one for overtly patriotic songs, even though I do love my country. Called That Old American Flag. It's apparently a true story about Billy and his father growing up with a flagpole in their front yard and just the pride in raising the red, white, and blue every morning and taking it down at night. It's a really, really lovely song. And again, I can't believe that album was overlooked. But it shouldn't be. It's really good. So check it out. Next up, speaking of overlooked, boy, how about that for a segue? I really should be in the television business. Dan Zane's Little Nut Tree, an album featuring Sharon Jones and Andrew Bird and Joan Osborne and the Sierra Leone Refugee All-Stars, and also featuring one of Dan's greatest songs, I think. It's called Summer Trains. My favorite song on that album, one of my favorite songs of the year, features Zane's as a contemplative dad who's reflecting on the fact that, oh my God, I have a 16-year-old daughter. And looking back at all the times that they spent together, all the travels, all the moments that they've had, and there's a bit of the song that's a little bit of vulnerability, thinking that, oh my God, I have a 16-year-old, and those moments may be few and far between going forward, that as she gets her own set of friends and, you know, at some point in the years to come starts her own family, and it's really lovely, and I'm not there yet. My kids are young, but I can appreciate that, and I have a feeling that that's going to be a song that's going to mean a lot to me in a decade or in 2 decades. It's just got that kind of classic vibe to it. Again, more of a parenting song than a kid song, but that's okay because this is kids' music in 2011, and it's for everyone. What do we have next? How about the Deedle Deedle Dees? Probably the one band in this list that I owe an apology to because I did not give this enough time before the voting period ended for Fids and Camley or before my deadline for the Time Out New York Kids piece. Now, I did squeeze it in as an honorable mention in the Tony Kids December issue, but this album is amazing. As you can see, it's in my top 5 if you're keeping count at home, and I hope you are because I don't know what number I'm on right now. But there's only 3 other records left to my left, so this must be in the top 5, and it should be. It is outstanding. My one complaint with the D's prior work was the production. The songs were good, but it just sounded so muddy. And this is coming from someone who grew up listening to muddy lo-fi albums. It was even a little bit too rough around the edges for me. No more is that an issue, because Dean Jones, they enlisted, and there is not a producer on earth better suited to work with the Deedle Deedle Dees than Dean Jones, and it shows here. He helped them make one amazing record, put all of their songs and all of their great musicianship up front, and makes it sound clean but not shiny, good but not perfect, if all of that makes sense. Lloyd's vocals sound amazing here, even when they get a little gruff and screamy, as they do on my favorite song and the Bears' favorite song, Skating in Old Bryant Park. About that beautiful park in New York where the Library Lions reside on the other side of the New York Public Library. Great song, great album, history comes to life as you could never imagine it. Makes my favorite class growing up was 7th grade history. It's where a lot of my opinions were formed. It's where I think I became a Civil War buff back in my childhood. My parents drove me all over the East Coast, visiting Leesburg and Gettysburg and every town that ends in a burg in Virginia and Maryland and Pennsylvania. But, it's not biographies. This is not boring history where they're giving you every fact and figure. It's little snapshots of something about certain people's lives. And I'm telling you the truth, it makes you just run to the encyclopedia. Or for us, people living in the 21st century, Google, to find out more. The Bear wanted to learn more about Marie Curie and why was she carrying radium and what the hell is radium. And so we looked it up and we had great conversations. And that is what anything good about kids media, it's what it's going to do. It's going to lead you places, good places. And the Deedle Deedle Dees does that with their album. I never even said the name. Strange Dees Indeed. Okay, next we have Recess Monkey. The trio from Seattle's 7th, I think, album, Flying, features their band manager, Mayor Monkey, on the front, and that handsome fella, Darren Henry, drummer, on the back. Great album art. I must say, though, I gave this one kind of a mixed review, I guess. I love it. I love most of it. But there's some songs that just didn't work for me. It's not my favorite Recess Monkey album. But what's amazing is indexed against their other work, Field Trip and Final Frontier, it's a little lacking, but matched up against everybody else, it's still my 3rd best album of the year, which tells me what? Which tells you what? This band's amazing. They're obviously really good at what they do. They're good at crafting little pop nuggets out of the childhood experience. Best song on this album, best song of the year, is Bunk Beds. It's a Jerry Blavat doo-wop number about the sibling relationship, about the intricacies and the push and pull of having a close relation, a brother or a sister. In this case, it is a brother. Sharing a bunk bed. How amazing that is to have somebody that you love close by, but also how frustrating having somebody you love close by can be at the same time. Drew Holloway, Recess Monkey's chief songwriter, touched on that a little bit on the last album on the song My Brother is a Satellite. And he does it to great effect here with a lot of ooh-ops, and it truly sounds like it could be something sung around a trash can on fire on a street corner in West Philadelphia. Not today, though, because you'd probably be shot, but like 60 years ago, 40 years ago. Something my dad would listen to back when he was growing up in West Philly. Good album, great song. And Recess Monkey, I want to go back to the Grammys for a minute, because I was having some conversations with people last night before the nominations, thinking that Recess Monkey is in the exact same spot that Justin Roberts was last year. Building on years of increased exposure. Time Magazine, People Magazine, the New York Times, USA Today. It just all seemed to be building to a Grammy nomination. Of course, we've already gone over that it didn't build to that. Hey, there's always next year. And they will have another album next year, because they always do, which is good for us. Number 2 is Lunch Money's Original Friend. Now, here's a band that I know does not give a shit about Grammy nominations. They are making great, quirky, beautifully witty pop music, and they don't care about the accolades. I can tell you that, and that is an awesome thing. Their record, how beautiful. By the way, just look how gorgeous that is. That is a donut. Don't eat it, though. I tried. It doesn't really taste that good. Sounds much better than it tastes. That is a bumblebee bear with a little girl dressed up as a donut friend. This record, artwork by Brandon Reese, who does all their stuff, and Zoo Global's great logo that I'm still jealous of. This album is, it makes their last one, which was great. I think it was in my top 5 2 years ago, called Dizzy. It makes it feel like a little cute EP. Original Friend is just immense. It's a big sounding record. It's an ambitious record. There's 2 songs that I want to point out. One is a duet. Both are duets. One is a duet with Secret Agent 23 Skidoo, who comes in and lends his rapping ability on the pop culture filled Come Over to My Dollhouse. There's mentions of Skeletor and of Super Mario and Barbie. everybody, anybody, if you're in my age or right around my age, and you grew up in the mid-'80s playing with action figures or dolls, you're going to get a kick out of this song. It is so funny and so clever. The other one is You and Me in a Bottle of Bubbles, which is sort of a dream song for me. And I saw it performed live, which is amazing. Lucky me. With Frances England and Molly Ledford, two of the best voices in kids' music, come together as they were destined to make a beautiful, slow, kind of ballady song about bubbles. It's sort of like the Lunch Money song on their last album. It Only Takes One Night to Make a Balloon Your Friend, where you just get kind of meta about this experience of watching a balloon or watching a bubble float up into the sky and how fleeting that joy is. And maybe that's a metaphor for friendship, childhood friendship, or a metaphor for life. You can go there if you want, but really it's just a lovely song. There's one more album that I didn't include here, and this is the one, even more than Dan Zane's, because I thought he was a shoo-in for a nomination. Brady Reimer released an album this year called Love Me for Who I Am, and I don't have the album artwork right here in front of me. I can't find it. Sue me. But it is an album inspired by children with learning disabilities, alternate learning styles, and it really is the album that Brady was destined to make. It is his masterpiece. I don't know. He could just stop recording music right now. Don't do that, Brady. But he could, and this would stand as his finest hour. And not because it's about children with learning disabilities or different learning styles, because it doesn't feel like it is. We know because we know the backstory if we read about it. But if you listen to the record, it's about wanting to be loved unconditionally, wanting to snuggle, being resistant to change, being a picky eater, having an affinity for soft things. A duet he does with Laurie Berkner that is really touching, and it just soft blankets and the touch of your parent's hand. When you're scared. It's a great record, and it's great for all families, whether you're touched by autism or Down syndrome or Asperger's or whatever, or not. It doesn't matter, because childhood attributes are the same no matter what you were born with or what you've developed. And it's a beautiful testament to all children, and it is an absolute crime that record is not nominated for a Grammy. So there, I think I've said my piece. You've heard the last of the Grammys. Because here's an album I did not expect to get nominated. Not because it's not great, but because the artist probably just doesn't care either, which is awesome. I love that most of these bands just don't give a shit about the process. But this guy, Todd McHatton, he's a guy making this album in his, not in a bedroom, but in a hallway crawl space, late at night, early in the morning. The vocals are hushed. The music is anything but. It's sonically robust, it's swirling, it's melodic, it's gorgeous. It's as close to an indie rock album as you're ever going to hear a kids band make. Features the #1 song in America right now, I Think I'm a Bunny, a duet between Todd and his adorable daughter Hazel. You've probably heard that if you listen to any kids radio. Just an absolutely beautiful record from start to finish. It's weird and it's bizarre and it's lush, and if you grew up listening to Flaming Lips and Superchunk or the Beatles or Harry Nilsson, this album, you're going to love it. You're just absolutely going to love every sonically delicious, weird song that Todd has come up with here. So that is it. That is they are my top 11 CDs of 2011, and I thank you for spending some time with me in my dining room, listening to me ramble on about the Grammys and about this great music. And keep checking out great kids music. Check out Zoo Global, Spare the Rock, XM Kids Place Live, my own site, Out with the Kids, and anywhere else that you think is writing about credible, interesting, beautiful kids music and music for all families. Thanks. See ya.